So now we're talking today to David Badaver from Slave Free Trade, a Swiss-based NGO who kindly has allowed us to work with them as a case study to look at how to make a pitch deck. And with the recording that we did yesterday, we looked through the pitch deck that Slave Free Trade had put together initially, and we found quite a few things where we were a bit challenged by it. We didn't really know what they were trying to say. And the concern was a great organisation trying to do great work is going to founder on the rocks as they try and launch their boat into the sea of competition of the world out there to get funding to take their organisation and their action to great scale and great impact, which is what we need, because these guys are trying to do great work in terms of grappling with slavery, modern slavery, and it's everywhere, as we're going to find out today by talking to David. So David, welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here with us. And so David, you're the Chief Operating Officer, is that right? Or
yes, exactly.
Slave Free Trade?
Yes, I joined 6 months ago.
Okay.
So the organization that was created in 2016. And so, as you said, I'm the COO. So I'm trying to be a little bit the link between all the teams and try to put in place all the organization so that we can become successful in our purpose. And I'm also one of the volunteers. So we're an organization with around 40 volunteers, and I decided to work full time for the organization because I had this opportunity, and I really believe in the project. So that's basically who I am.
Well, welcome. And so tell us about Slave Free Trade. Just give us a quick history of the organisation. We're going to talk with Brian Island, the founder and CEO, later. But just tell us about Slave Free Trade and what it's doing, how long it's been around, bit of the evolution of the organisation and where you are today.
Yes. So Slave Free Trade was founded in 2016 by Brian, who used to work against human trafficking, and he got really this frustration of seeing that when he was rescuing people, I think we'll talk about that better than I do, but when he was rescuing people, like lots of new people were being caught by modern slavery. So he was thinking about how to drive a more systemic change to the way it was done. A good parallel probably would be the war against drugs, not try to address supply, but really demand.
Right.
And the way to address demand is that today, most of us feel helpless because we feel we don't have the information. So how to be able to provide information to those who are buying? It can be consumer, but it can be public procurement, corporations, etc. So how to provide this information? And at the same time, they felt, I think, the frustration that having people doing audit and going on the field is very pricey. It takes a lot of time, etc. So
and it's ineffective, right?
Yeah, it's ineffective because we just address a few occurrences instead of having something that could be more scalable,
more systemic.
Exactly. So he was looking for a way to drive this systemic change. So I think along those 3 years, and we will talk about that, there's been lots of different phases. And the first one was to create first a human rights framework, something that we could measure human rights performance against. And the first phase was really to work on that. And from that, 10 principles were built that would, for instance, no forced labor, no child labor, etc., so that we could define decent work condition in an organization and measure that. Then I think there's been like a great work done on the processes, how to create an environment where we can measure at all time in real time the performance, sending questions to people. And so there's been a big work done on that. But I think the overall process, the overall concept is to be able to drive those core processes through the power of technology. Mm-hmm. Because we know right now that technology can help make most of the things scalable. So right now, I would say that we've been working on this human rights framework, on the process and what we try to achieve. But the big missing piece is this technology, which is very complex because it's in real time, all the time. So we need to be able to ask questions to all the workforce in lots of workplaces, maybe along the business network or the supply chain, and we need to do that all the time. So there's thousands, billions of data points that are possibly handled. And to build this, we're really aware of our limits. We are a team with lots of different skills, but we need a very extensive team with lots of different skills to build this platform. And not having this technological platform is limiting us in our capacity to prove our concept.
Right.
And that's where we are right now. And that's very frustrating because we think that we have a great concept. We can see that right now many organizations seem interested, some that are ethical SMEs, but also some very big group or public procurement. But until we can show this technology and prove our concept through this technology, we're limited. And this is very frustrating at a time where, there's really lots of interest. So
it's really growing, isn't it? I mean, there's, as we know, there's more interest from various governments around the world, Modern Slavery Acts.
Exactly.
UN principles coming to the fore, and just general consumer awareness that these issues exist. Still low, but growing, and the leading companies really wanting to do something about it, but not really knowing what to do about it.
Yes.
You guys are sitting there with an idea, with a concept, something that could be taken to scale, but you're missing a critical ingredient.
Exactly.
You've got your principles, you've got the idea of the process, how those principles could be tested, but you're missing the tech to make it happen.
Yes.
So that's where we are today.
Yes, exactly. And right now, I think what we can say is that we have defined our identity. We want to be an NGO to guarantee the integrity.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not going through a corporate structure where we could maybe raise funds with investors, because we don't want to lose the control. We want to guarantee the purpose, the long-term goal, which is to have human rights in every workplace in the world, which is very ambitious. Obviously, it will not be done in a fortnight, but this is the cause that is driving us, and we don't want it to be to become too much linked to a business where the integrity. So we have defined that we're an NGO, and now we're trying to define the strategy to get funds to start, because after that we have a business model that would allow us to be self-sustainable, hopefully, and that's what we want to keep this independence. Yes. But right now we need to define this strategy, and we know that out there are probably some fundraisers, organizations that would be happy to help us in this kickstart, in this bootstrap of the organization.
Yeah, so let's narrow down on that. That's a really important point, because it helps us define who we're going to target with the pitch deck. Okay?
Yes.
So you're not looking at, because you're a non-profit and because you want to keep control, doesn't mean you can't make profits. Let's be clear, non-profits indeed must make profit so that they can safeguard their business. But it's not profit that's going to be distributed to investors.
Yes.
Right? So it'll be profit that is kept aside in a buffer for tough times or to reinvest in the business. This is good practice from non-profits. So in that sense, you're not really looking for example, a venture capitalist who is looking for a 20+% return on their investment.
Exactly.
Because then they want to take control of the company.
Yes.
Right. So you're really in this for the public good.
Yes.
You want to keep control of the IP and the whole process. You don't want anything you do to be compromised for business purpose. Just turn your eye. Yes. Turn your eyes from that small problem, because if you focus on that, we'll lose some of our returns.
Yes, because so that's the experience that sometimes has happened with certification or audits.
Correct. We know all about that, and that'll be a subject for another discussion.
Yes.
Where auditors are, let's not say that auditors are corrupted, although my experience is that can happen, but certainly audit processes, if you don't give a certificate, the client will go and get an audit from someone who will. And so there can be compromises. And so, you guys don't want to see those compromises. So you want to keep that control. So I get it. So this means that we're looking for effectively a grant. You're not necessarily, you could have a loan, something you could pay back in the future, but that's not ideal in the sense that that puts a big burden on the organisation. But getting a grant from an impact investor who is interested in the public good, who is interested in the service to the planet, as it were, and the service to humanity, this is what you're looking for. And And I think that there's a growing number of those investors out there, people who, philanthropists we could call them, people
Yes.
who have made a lot of money through their own business. Perhaps they're looking to give back, they're looking to have a bigger social impact. So it sounds to me like these are the sort of people that you're going to be targeting when you are making the case for them to give a grant to slave-free trade to help you develop this technology. Have we got that, mate?
Yes, I think if I would break it down, it would be so grants from possible organizations, as you say, philanthropists, possibly the loan, having people investing and not looking for a big return on
Financial
investment,
return.
but just investing a bit of their money, they get it back maybe with a
Small
slight,
amount of interest.
but without control
Yes.
on the organization. And I think also one of the way, and probably the deck can help on that, is also try to build what we call corporate partnerships, which means that organizations support us at the same time, so they can show that they want the world to change, that they want to bring also this systemic change, and they're taking this subject seriously. So for them, and it's not being cynical, but they show that they will want to be part of the change. So for instance, there's one solution that we're looking into is maybe to look in a pool of different organizations that could be known as founders, founding members, and that would bring a little bit of money that would help us cross this bridge. Exactly.
Okay, so in terms of what we're trying to do here with the course, understanding who your audience is really important, because we can't have a situation where that's unclear, because you end up confusing whoever you send the slide deck to. And we found that with the draft slide deck, where there's a lot of different slides in there that some were targeted for potentially funders, but some seem to be targeted for businesses who could become a member. So it was all a bit mixed. So we've got to work on that, David, yeah?
Exactly. And I fully agree with what you said. Until now, it has been a patchwork of different decks historically, and there's never been a real deck that we could send to this kind of partners. So right now there's this work that needs to be done. Very happy to have you help us.
Let's see if we can do that. And we might need a couple of decks, in fact, because I think within that group of audiences that we just talked about, that target audience, so we could have some corporations that would look to secure a grant from. They could become founding members. So in that sense, and they're quite a different audience from a donor organisation or a philanthropic organisation. So it might mean that we have need more than one deck, but just with some slight tweaks. Because overall, we're looking for that organisation to, whoever that organisation is or whoever that individual is, to be prepared to give a grant. And under what terms they give a grant might mean that we have to change the few slides at the end. But let's see.
Great, thank you.
Should we get on with that?
I'm all for it.
Let's do it. Right.
Yeah.